Hey guys, FTK. Haven't done a video for a little while, so I thought I'd just do one on a deck I've been playing quite recently, and that is going to be my Genesis G deck. So I'm just going to go straight into the profile. The star is going to be leading. I think he's the obvious choice for any Fenrir based deck, which this deck of course is. The skill is Generation Break 1. Move this guy into the soul. Once per turn, when a card is moved from your soul to your drop zone, you can call that card to a rear guard, but it can't be this guy. So it's basically the the skill of Fenrir, the unstride one, but for free. So that's really nice. Then of course we're going to be playing the main ride target of the deck and its namesake. It's going to be Mythic Beast Fenrir. Generation Break 2 skill is Soul Blast 3. When he attacks, pay the cost, he gets critical and your opponent can't call grade 1s or higher, so only 0s the attack. And we'll go into how you can make that, really decent if you can't stride. But what really makes him great, and he is a great unit, is his on stride skill when he's strode on top of. You soul charge 3 for free, no matter what. And he gains the skill when a card is sent from your soul to the drop zone. You can blast 1 and call that unit to a rear guard. So basically, you get the triple soul charge for free, which of course, brilliant. And then you can call a unit. That's one thing this deck does really well, just generating units from the soul, so you don't have to worry so much about card calling from your hand, so you can build up a lot of hand that way. Of course, you combine that with lading and some of the other skills. You can fill up your rear guard with counter blast because he's the only real thing. Well, the only thing ideally you want to be counter blasting. But of course, you can't play 8 Fenrir. So I'm playing 2 of Angelica, which is the break ride. So it's limit break 4 when your unit rides on top of her. You soul blast 3, and you draw 2 cards. And obviously, she's got the soul aid break ride skill of when she attacks. She gains 1000 and you soul charge 1, so it's a slower way of gaining soul. Basically I wanted to find a unit that I could run alongside Fenrir that sort of gave me options beyond just a very mediocre GB1 skill like some of the stuff in GB4, GBT4. So I thought I'd try 2 of the break ride and then 2 Minerva. Minerva is our limit break restander for the cost of counter blast 1 and soul blast 3. At the end of the battle that she attacked, pay the cost, stander, she gains 5k. So she's much better in a what's what I'm looking for? Dedicated, that's the word. Dedicated Minerva, dedicated Regalia deck, because you obviously get things like Norn, which can power up to potentially give her second attack onto, like, on the break ride turn, crazy numbers. But we're not running that here. But I wanted something I could sit on while I don't have Fenrir, and then also something that, like, if I don't find the Fenrir, I find Minerva first and I have to break ride her, I can sit on a cross ride, which a lot of people don't really prepare for. And the way this deck gets cards and soul, it's just really easy to do. So yeah, it's the backup to Fenrir. I don't often use the Minerva effect, but she's there, she's an option. If you can't stride, or if you're really late game, your last stride's pretty mediocre, you can make good columns, then on that last turn, just going into Minerva can be good. But also it's just a backup. If you can't find the Fenrir throughout the game, it's nicer to have the option to Minerva rather than just playing 4 Angelica and sitting on Angelica waiting, doing nothing. So that's my logic there. Okay, moving on to 2s, because this video is very rapidly getting too long. This is our Generation Break 1. When it's boosted, counter blast 1. Skill is soul charge 3, again really nice. But the secondary skill is really good as well. It's talking again about how we can draw a lot of cards. You soul charge 3, and then if a card has been soul blasted during this turn, you can draw a card. So this is ideal for sort of attacking after the Vanguard's attacked and done its big thing, because then you get the draw. We'll go into more detail with that. Then we have 4 of Jormungand. She's our unit that gains 1,000 every time something's soul blasted. Pretty simple. And then to complete the 2 lineup, playing 3 Chamomile. She's still really good. I think, in particularly in a dedicated Fenrir deck, it just sort of fits with that theme of what the deck does of calling units back out. Not necessarily for additional attacks, but for to conserve hand. That's kind of how this deck plays. 4 PGs, because they're PGs. You always want a Stride, and if possible you usually want Fenrir, so 4 Skull, which is our Stride assist. Then we're playing 3 of the Grade 1 version of Chamomile, and 3 of the Grade 1 version of Jormungand. Obviously this boosts, so that's a 13k booster on the Vanguard, whatever his name is. Moving on to the triggers. Something Genesis have, again, a really good stand trigger. It's not like Silverthorns where you can be quite specific with what goes in your soul and then what you do with it. This is about getting cards in soul to be able to pay the cost of effects. So by only playing the 1 or the 2, you just there's too much risk of soul charging it and then not being able to have access to it, and it's just kind of a waste of an amazing effect. The skill is, at the end of your turn, shuffle all cards in your drop zone back to the deck, including and put this guy on top of your deck. Shuffle and you draw a card. So this is really nice. So you've done your big turn, you've done a huge turn, you've done a load of soul charging, loads of big effects, and then this just refuels your deck. This guy is going to come in really good when G Guardians become a thing, the extended G zone. It's where games could potentially be lasting a lot longer. This guy just makes sure that in a deck that soul charges a lot, we don't run out. I'm honestly expecting something similar to this for Dark Regulars in the next set, just to keep them sort of be able to keep pace with longer scale games. But we'll have to get on. So yeah, 4 of that stand trigger. And also this does work with the idea of making extra columns. 4 of the effect crit trigger, put into soul, give 3k. Obviously this deck relies on having a certain number of cards in soul to be able to soul blast. So what this can do is it can just be that extra 1 card you need to get the effect. So in that sense the 3k is almost irrelevant, it's actually just a soul charge. But the 3k is nice, obviously 3k can be the difference between a good column and a bad column. And then we just 4 other crit, no defensive triggers, well except heals of course, but just the other 12 are just all offense triggers. So moving into the strides, of course our big machismo is going to be our Vanaragand. I can't remember how they did it in the anime, but yeah, his skill is Soul Blast 6, Persona Flip, and there's a very specific time at the beginning of your drive step. So this guy attacks, your opponent does his guarding, then you check the top 4 cards of your deck and organise them in any way you like. So as many as you want to the bottom or to the top. So this basically means this is basically a really good version of Fortuna, because what this does, especially late game, like the turn before you Dreaming Dragon, for example, you could have like what, between 12 and 15 cards in deck late game on the second time you've used this effect. So that means you get to check a third of that, and then you can organise it. Any triggers you can put to the top, you can stack triggers to the top. Of course, it can save you from awful drive checks. Of course, it doesn't give massive power, but just that ability to rig your trigger check is amazing, because you think something else like say a stride that has a really big effect, gives loads of power, does big things. Think Harry. If you triple drive 3 grade 3s, then you're pretty stuffed for the next turn defensively. So that's what this deck does really well. The offense doesn't come from the strides. The strides, well, the main stride, obviously, Vanaragand. I can't imagine not playing him before, to be honest, even with the extended G-Zone. Very strong card. Like I say, late game, you pretty much guarantee triggers, or at least make sure you don't get shit drive checks. Next up, this is a really, really good card. Again, I'd recommend, I think 2 is very necessary, because he can be the first stride. He creates a great pressure turn, you know, 5k to 2 rear guards, and basically free if you play this right. So you can play this so you always get that soul charge. It's quite simple to do it. Just make sure when you use him, you have 5 cards in soul or less, because obviously Soul Blast 3, you still have 2 or less, you go back up to 5. So just that's something to bear in mind when using his skill. Even early game, don't go up to 6. If like using a skill is going to put up to 6, it's not worth it, because you lose the skill being free. And the strength of this skill is 10k to 2 units, which is huge, plus the skill being essentially refunded. And our other stride, honestly, So that video was going to be ending with me going on about a bit of a rant about Dione and how I wasn't overly fond of her. I didn't think that was too productive a way to end a video, so I just recorded, I'm going to be recording, should I say, a little bit here, in which I'm going to show you my G-Zone when the Fighters Collection comes out, which was supposed to be the point of the end of that video. So it's on screen now, as you see. Obviously still 4 Vanaganda, really strong card. Still 2 Doombrace again, pretty much your ideal stride. And then Beast Slayer Military Deity Tyr. He's our card from the Fighters Collection. His skill is Soul Blast 3. Check the top card of your deck and put it either to the top or the bottom. So it's kind of like a mini Vanaraganda, whatever you want to call them. Whereby you get to check the top card of your deck and rearrange the the order, so whether it goes back to the top or the bottom. And then also it has the skill, when your drive check reveals a grade 1 or greater, you soul charge 3. So you have the potential to soul charge 9, which obviously triples the return of what you paid to actually use the skill. So it's really good. Yeah, and if not, you get triggers. So, and Dione, I put Dione EU because she's not a terrible card. You know, it's just hit Soul Blast 3, draw 1, put 2 in the soul. It's not terrible at all, but it's just that on here, and but she is still, again, kind of just here because she more or less has to be to make up the numbers. Because I don't want to run more than 4 G guards. I'll talk about that in a moment. Then there's Seabreeze. For those of you who don't know what this does, it basically stops the grade 2 game. So if your opponent's on grade 2 and didn't ride during their last ride phase, you can stride this unit. So basically, if they're sitting on 2 and saying you're not going to stride, you can still basically get a stride, trigger your GB1s, and sort of really start to get going if that's what they want to do. It's an interesting card. I should probably do a whole other video talking about my opinion of it rather than do it here. But essentially it rewards you, well, it punishes your opponent for wanting to play that grade 2 game and try and rush you that way. But at the same time it punishes grade locked people. Grade locked opponents, so I'll talk about that in another video. And then Blizzard, because like I said in the main segment of the video, the stand trigger can really help with those longer games, and the fact is now Blizzard can get to stupid numbers to the point where it's like, do you have the PG? Then you are taking the damage. And then I'll talk about the G Guardians. We're going to be playing 3 Goddess of 7 Colors Iris, simply because we soul charge by using her, and it's a really strong one. Playing 3 of her, and then we're playing 1 Dismel. For those of you who don't know what Dismel does, it's when you put it on the Guardian Circle. It's 15k shield, and then you pick one of your units, and it can't be hit for the rest of the turn or targeted for the rest of the turn. So it basically gives it resist and immortality for the turn. So it's a really strong card. A lot of my deck profiles you'll be seeing will playing Scryu, which actually really helps against the Diablo matchup, just for those larger numbers, you know, this position where you can't guard and you can call a G Guardian for 25,000, just simply for the cost of a discard. This deck doesn't so much have a problem with Diablo, simply because rear guards are never a problem with this deck. I will usually have a full board, even, you know, and to the point where I'm calling back from the soul anyway, so it really doesn't need to worry about it. So yeah, I think that is the lineup I'm thinking of. Obviously I haven't tested this yet because the cards aren't out, but please let me know what you think. Rate, comment and subscribe, and look forward to my next video, which is going to be a big discussion about the Fights collection, what it brings to the game, and a little bit about some of the cards in it. Stay safe, guys.